Bienvenidos.
Welcome.
This is Learning with Lobos. I'm Paloma.
And I'm Loni, and we are education consultants with Early Childhood Services Center.
And this is a UNM podcast for early childhood.
This is season 1, episode 6, and today we're going to be talking about burnout.
Ooh, burnout.
Yes. So before we get into it, let's go ahead and talk about the books that we have for the month.
Let's do it. All right. So we have these books from the
Slumberkins.
Slumberkins.
I love Slumberkins.
And if you try to type it on your phone or email, it's going to tell you, it's going to autocorrect it.
Yes.
But it's Slumberkins. Yes.
So normally we only pick out one, but we had 2 really good ones that we felt like matched this topic today. So we have the Yeti, and the Yeti is all about mindfulness, which is important when you're talking about burnout. And which one do you have?
I have the Alpaca, and the Alpaca talks about stress. So it's about managing stress, worries, and these books are so amazing because they really just tackle that area, that specific area, and in such a cute, fun way.
Yeah, no, I agree. And these also come with affirmations, which I like. So like the affirmations that we have here are just little reminders. Like if you don't have time to read the book, remind yourself of mindfulness, mind-body connection, concentration, and then yours had sleep security, anxiety management, and coping skills, right? Sometimes we can't sit down and read these books, but these affirmations I love. So the Yeti one, it's just a nice little single sheet. I slow down and am calm. I sit very still. I take deep breaths, relax, and chill. That's something easy to kind of just say in your head when you're feeling it, right? And to teach the kids as well as yourself. And then the Alpaca one is, I am strong and supported. I am never alone. Climbing these mountains will lead me home. So obviously these are geared towards kids, but I think that if we're trying to teach our students these topics, mindfulness and stress relief and anger management and coping skills, etc., we need to be able to do that too. Mm-hmm. And we know as educators, we do really need it.
Yep, exactly. Just what we were talking about in podcast number, 1, 2, 3. It takes a healthy village. So if you teachers as well need some of these affirmation is what you call them, affirmations, but
well, mantra.
Yes, and they're beautiful, and they're really excellent, cute little drawings. And there's different Slumberkins for different what would you say, topics?
Yeah.
But we just wanted to pick these 2 because they really hone in on the topic of burnout. And these little guys can be a little pricey, but we do give them away at the Toy Lending and Resource Libraries. So if you guys happen to stop by any of your libraries in any of our 6 locations around the state, you can get one of these little guys for free, just like everything else in the library. Everything is free.
Awesome.
But you get to keep it, I should say. You don't check it out like the rest of the toys. You get to keep it, and they're amazing. Some of them are plush animals. Should we show them?
Yeah.
And this little guy, super cute. What is this guy? A Yeti?
Yeah, he's the Yeti.
So we got a Yeti going on here.
So cuddly.
And then the Alpaca is what you call a sleeper.
Yeah, so it's a little different. Like this is a traditional stuffed animal. For those who are watching, you can see it. For those who are listening, it's just a traditional, fluffy, stuffy. But the Alpaca is flat. So it's really like a snuggly little cuddly guy that you can cuddle up with in your bed because it's flat, but still, fuzzy on the outside, but it's not stuffed with legs and arms like the other one is. So they kind of vary which one is which.
Yes, and such a cute idea because when, you're using it to help a little one take a nap or go to sleep, these are really cute because, like as you said, they're super soft, but they're flat, so it's more like a blanket. So it's very cozy. But yes, these are beautiful. We are not necessarily promoting. We're not.
This episode's about Slumberkins.
They're not paying us for this. We just love them. We use them a lot. We use them in many ways, and we try to get them out there to the community because they're such a wonderful resource that, like, as we said, it could get a little pricey, but it's so beautiful in what they tackle and what they do and how they present it. It's just in a very beautiful, soft way.
Yeah, I I agree. We'll probably have another one of these Slumberkin books as a book of the month in the future.
That's
I'm sure
true.
that we would.
That's true.
And so obviously the connection to burnout, I know we were talking about, we wanted to do this topic now at this time of the year because sometimes the holidays, it's kind of like a weird balance. Like you're excited about the holidays, you're feeling warm and cozy, you're spending time with family, but also it's a time of stress. It's a time of like, I need this break. Do I even want to come back after this break? I'm feeling tired. Like, sometimes it's like that seasonal depression. So I know that we really felt like this topic was important at this exact time of the year.
Exactly. And for many reasons, right? The holidays are stressful on their own, but it could also mean other things of maybe it reminds you or you get a little bit sad when if you have loss, you think about those that are no longer here with you, the stress, the year is ending, the gifts, food. So I remember as a child, and I think all the time now, I was so lucky because it was, the Christmas is coming, and now knowing all the stress that my mom had from not only setting everything up, but making sure that we had, a little something for Christmas. And it made me think of, there are children that are also, they unfortunately they're not living like how I was living, oblivious and happy. So they themselves have stress, and it can get very difficult around this time of year. And we can see it as, vacation or time is coming up, and that's always fun. But no, for a lot of people, they rather skip through this because of the stress, and that's really sad.
Yeah, and even some of the exciting pieces of it, like as a teacher, you're doing celebrations, you're doing maybe family engagement festivals or parties, and like that's fun, but it's also exhausting at the end of the day. And then you notice the shift of the kids are starting to kind of act up. There's more challenging behaviors because they're excited. They notice this is coming. I'm excited for all of these holidays and all of these parties. And then it almost gets harder for the teacher to wrangle them back in because they're like, oh my gosh, they're just getting really excited for the break to come. And then of course they're always worried about when they come back from the break, they were gone too long. Now they have to start learning the routine again. I have to learn the routine again. I have to kind of, leave my break from over here and start back fresh again. And it's hard for all of us, even if we're not in the classroom, right? We were just talking about like, we're excited for the break, but also like, I want it to last longer than it's going to last.
Exactly. And sometimes when you hit burnout, because it happens a lot, we put a lot of emphasis at this, this time of year for many reasons, but it is also closing up the year. So it's not just the holidays. It's not, and sometimes you think, well, I'm going to get the holidays. I'm so burned out. I'm going to recharge. But in that recharge or that time, we have getting maybe the house ready to host,
Yes, hosting,
getting gifts, because that's a stress, that of something, whether, you're able to provide, and all that. It's super stressful when it comes to that financially. But then as we were talking, when we're thinking, oh, it's time for the holidays, we're going to get some time off. I don't know about you, Lonnie, but I feel like sometimes the older I get, the more I realize, what's this time off going to cost me when I get back? And how can you say I'm recharging when you know that when you come back, things might, you're going to get behind most of the time. You're going to have to be catching up, or I left these loose ends. So it's like a cycle, so that recharge, I feel like it has to be very intentional, and you have to, we're not able to do this all the time, but it would be ideal if we can recharge. It matches the amount of stress. You know what I mean? Because the weekend, we were just also talking earlier about living for the weekend. That's rough. And we just have to find the positive in everything. It's a tough subject that don't think we're gonna fix your burnout in 30 to 40 minutes.
We're gonna validate your burnout.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is gonna be an episode where we do have some strategies that we're gonna recommend, but we're really here to validate what you're feeling, because I used to be in the classroom. I felt burnout. I know it's hard, and sometimes it's aside from the time of the year around the holidays, teachers are going to feel burnout all year long. They're going to feel burnout 10 years into their profession. They're going to feel burnout reaching retirement soon and it's not coming in, fast enough, or right in the beginning of their career. And so I think this topic is so important. And I think that if we can, spend this time validating educators and what they feel, but giving them some tangible strategies, like you said, it can't fix it all, but we can maybe help a little bit.
Exactly. And I lost my train of thought, but I really do like that you said that, because there are some things that you can do to try to alleviate a little bit and just take a little bit of weight off your shoulders. And I think part of it is trying to steer away from negativity. That would be my number one suggestion. But it's, well, I remember what I was going to say with something you said. It reminded me of surviving rather than thriving, right? So if you've been doing that all year, this is the burnout, this time off or holidays, it's not going to be a recharge. It's only going to pause, I feel, like this feeling. So you can come in the new year, feel the energy of people, new year, what's that thing that people do? New Year's resolutions. Yeah. We have a resolution. You want to lose weight. You have all these things. So that you can get a little bit of, that positivity. I consider it positive, whether, you complete your goal or not, at least you had, that positivity in your head. So you can feel that, but your burnout and your stress, and if you're, again, just going through the motion, it's not gonna get any better, and you're only gonna last so long before, again, you'll feel, what's going on with me, and which could a lot of times burnout will lead to people quitting, because you're so fed up that sometimes I feel like you think, or I guess in my head I think that they believe, why not just start all over somewhere else, where they don't know me, where I can just
job completely. Maybe teaching isn't for me. This is harder than I thought, and I think that what you're saying about New Year's resolution is, it's this thing where we're saying, okay, it's temporary. We're going to try this thing. I want to, have a goal. I want to strive for it. But really, it isn't sustained unless it's a lifestyle change. And I feel that way about burnout and mindfulness, right? Like, these strategies that we're going to talk about today, they might be something you're like, yeah, I'm really motivated after this episode. I'm going to try all these strategies. But then once you kind of stop, then it's not going to help. You're going to go right back into burnout sometime later. Maybe not right away, but eventually, right? So if you think of it more of a lifestyle change, like, I need to practice mindfulness. I need to practice, anger management, coping skills, A, B, C, D, whatever we talk about today. If you turn it into a lifestyle change, you're going to be able to sustain those feelings whenever burnout comes up, because it's not like burnout happens one time and that's it. It's not like the chicken pox. Like, it's going to keep coming. It's going to be the flu. You're going to continue to have burnout ebbing and flowing throughout your life, throughout your career. And so you have to have things that are sustainable, not just something you try for a month and say you did it. So that, I think, is going to be a really big distinction on what you take from today.
100%. And stress is more like thirst. You can take care of it for a little bit, but it's never going to go away it's not a one-time thing. I love that you say that about lifestyle change, because if you don't make a change that's going to continue, you're going to go back. You're going to go back to that. It's like losing weight. If you can work out a month, a year, hardcore, and you look great, whatever you want to, what your ideal is, and then you stop forever, it's the same thing as that muscle, that needs to be worked at, needs to be fed. Right. So, yes. So I do love that you said that it's a lifestyle change, and that's where you bring in positivity, right? Because it could be in form of affirmations or in form of, which do help. A long time ago, a friend of mine, a coworker actually, and I was really young. I was in my early 20s, and she told me, when you get in the shower, you're going to say these words, and they're in Spanish. And there's a couple of cuss words. I can't say it, but basically telling myself that I'm amazing, just in a more, different, rough way. And she just said, keep saying that in the shower. I thought it was cute. And I say it because it had like a ring to it, And but now, almost 20 years later, I feel I use it all the time. And
Love that.
it's just an affirmation of, hey, I can do this. Hey, I'm strong. I could do this. And it works,
Yeah.
You think you're in the shower just talking to yourself. It actually works.
Yeah, and I think, this is a good time for us to start talking about some legitimate, tangible strategies. So I think we could actually look at questions of the day to kind of anchor that.
Yes, that sounds great. What did we get? What did we get today? All right. Lonnie's getting those questions from our mailbox.
Okay. Anonymous. Okay, let's see. I have been a teacher for 12 years, and I'm starting to lose my passion for what I do. Any advice?
Well, congratulations on being in this field for 12 years.
Definitely.
That's very impressive. Wow, that's a tough one. Do you want to start?
Yeah, and then I think I really want to hone in on that word, passion. Because it's like, if you don't love what you do, are you going to want to wake up every day and do it? Mm-hmm. And when you're feeling that fatigue of, I don't really like this, I'm tired, I'm overworked, I'm whatever it is, I'm bored even. We've all felt that. And so my recommendation is, to do what I just recently did, right? This podcast is literally what gave me my passion back. So obviously, but the viewers may not, is that when I just recently had a baby, when I was pregnant, I was pretty much the same, but they don't talk about when you come back from maternity leave. Once you have a baby, you're kind of different. You're the same, but you're different. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm not the same person, but am at the same time. And so when I came back, I know that you and I talked about it in detail because that's what this turned out to be, I was like, man, I want to be at home with my child. I don't want to be at work. I don't even know if I like it. Am I even good at it? I remember thinking like, oh, imposter syndrome. Like I need something to reignite what I loved about my job, because before my baby came, I loved working in the field that we do, the job that we have, but it kind of just was like dwindling. And so we talked about, well, I have all these ideas, these innovations, like I want to do stuff. And it was whether it was like, I think this training would be cool. I think this would be cool. And that's how we literally started talking about both of us wanting some sort of project to make us feel excited. And this is it. This is our little, project became this huge podcast, this idea, this wish, really. Mm-hmm. We didn't know it was actually going to happen. Thank goodness it did. And now you and I have talked numerous times in prep meetings, right? About like, oh my gosh, we're so excited. Mm-hmm. We love working on the podcast. We love thinking about guests. We love thinking about ideas. So it gave me specifically something to look forward to. And it started, and it's not that I just look forward to this. It just kind of started that ignition again. Like now I'm excited about other work groups. Now I'm excited about trainings and all these other things. I'm starting to find my footing again. Mm-hmm. I'm starting to figure things out. And sometimes you lose passion because you go on maternity leave and your interests and your priorities change. Sometimes it's because you've just been doing this for too long and you're getting bored. And so my advice, in order to regain that passion, is to find something fun, something innovative, something you've been wishing to do, some creative idea that will jumpstart that passion again, to think, oh my goodness, this project that I was doing with the kids, or this idea I have for my center, for my school, this is making me excited again. Mm-hmm. And even if it's a temporary thing, it'll start the wheels again.
Right. It can cause a snowball effect. Yeah. And thank you for sharing that, Loni, because I actually, yesterday I was watching something where a mom, new mom, said almost the exact thing that you said. And she, I remember her saying, this is who I used to be. And how can you compare your passion for your newborn to, oh, this is work? It changed. So one thing that she said that stuck with me, the people that were talking here, two moms, she said, this was the old you, which was great. And now it's time to reinvent yourself as the mom, the colleague, so in a sense you're a new person, and it's tough to where, like you said, finding your footing, or where again, how can it compare taking care of your baby to 9 to 5, right?
Yeah, no,
So I
for
can
real.
see that. But so thank you for sharing. That was really cool for people that are going through things. Sometimes we don't know, and especially as women, we go through the same stuff. We just don't talk about it.
Right.
And you and I, like you said, when we happened to have a day that we worked together, we started exchanging ideas. Turns out this was something that was super passionate to both of us. And it's funny because it was in different ways.
Yes.
It's not like you were thinking, oh, I can't wait to edit a podcast.
Oh, gosh, no.
but you had your creativity was ignited in a certain way that it shows, and everything that we've been able to do with the podcast. Same for me, my creativity and my techie side, and my I wanted to this and that, both
like, new cameras, Loni. I'm like, okay.
These new cameras can do this.
Like, I can't tell the difference, but I'm so glad you can.
I'm like, you don't understand how beautiful our microphones are. I'm so lucky that we have these. But again, we both have completely different. When we met, we got along. We had a great conversation. We never talked again for months.
Yeah.
And it happens, and we're doing our job. So you're doing your thing, I'm doing my thing. And we happened to connect again. We came up with this idea. It gave us passion. And sometimes when you give these suggestions or advice to people, and people want instant gratification, right? So it's really tough. So it's kind of like I was saying earlier, you have to work on it. But if it's true, if you get even a little bit of passion for one thing in your job, it could lead, like you said, that snowball effect. It could lead to other things. So for you and I, all of a sudden, we're both in the newsletter committee. Where, we can do this with the podcast newsletter. I'm in the social media committee. Oh, we can do that part with the Paloma's Play Corners. From there, it just kind of ignited that we're getting different ideas. We're elevating our organization. We're feeling good about coming to work. Yeah. So one little thing led to us having a passion again for providing, the things that we do already, but in a fun way. Because again, you and I go to childcare centers and we have these conversations. But now we're having the conversation here. We're putting it online. It's available for everybody. And I'm having more conversations with the rest of our colleagues because of the podcast.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you specifically mentioned the word reinvent yourself, which is kind of what you feel like, and I agree. What I needed to do was kind of reinvent myself within this position. I almost say, to our anonymous question, reinvent yourself. You are saying I'm a teacher of 12 years, and that's going to be a very specific version of you that you identify with, that others identify with as this one person, this one style of teaching, maybe this, whether you've been in the same classroom the whole time, you've always teach the same age group, right? Reinvent yourself. Ask to be in a different age group. Ask to, be with a different teaching team. Reinvent yourself by rearranging the classroom, bringing some of your passions into the classroom. Teach the kids how to sew if you like to sew. Teach them how to play an instrument because you at home have a guitar. You've been hoping to do a photography unit for the longest time. Now, this is your chance. Teach the kids how to do photography. There's so many ways to reinvent yourself after 12 years, and that could easily be what you're missing in that lack of passion.
That's true. And that's a great advice, because anything that might be a little bit of your passion, you can kind of incorporate it in the classroom, like obviously appropriately for their ages. And but anything like that, like you said, if it's photography, why don't we start building drawing cameras, building them, get some cardboard boxes that we had, our episode with our colleague Heather, play around with that.
Make a shadow box out of recycled boxes.
Nowadays, which I did want to talk about this, and it was going to be more negative, but I'll bring the positivity to it. Social media, it's huge right now. The children nowadays are growing up differently, right? It's different, completely different than what we experience. And but hey, use that. Create a little, with a refrigerator box. Create an area where somebody can play influencer, in the
They
dramatic
could
play.
be podcasters.
Hey, oh,
You guys
my
could pretend to be us.
goodness.
We need a label of Oh
But
goodness.
yeah,
Well, that one keeps on going.
Oh, yeah,
That one
that's
gives and
yeah.
keeps giving. Yeah.
Gets
okay.
you in the mood. The way I see it. I was just asking you about a show that you're probably too young for it, but this guy found old things from a talk show in the trash, and he brought it into his apartment. And then when people would come over, he would act like he was interviewing them. That would have been me, if I
Yeah.
left alone the rest
Yes.
of my life. You would have come into my house, and it's you can get something that's creative, or even if it's not. Some people say, "Oh, I'm not creative at all." Well, what do you like?
Yeah.
What do you like to do? What if you can literally be on a Sunday and no cleaning, no responsibilities, what would you do? And if your answer is sitting on the couch watching a movie, movies. Okay,
Yeah.
let's incorporate movies. Oh, I just want to watch reality TV. Okay, you can even make a little funny reality TV
Game show.
in the classroom.
Totally.
The creativity and getting things that are different, doing different activities. The kids are gonna love that.
Oh, I agree. I mean, me and our oldest son, we watch Survivor every time the season comes on. So funny. We love it. We watch it all the time. I mean, easily. You get some puzzles, do some things. You guys have a Survivor day. There's so many ways that you can have fun. There's most likely something most teachers wished for years that they could have done in their center. Like, I really, really would love to do this family engagement activity. I'd really, really love to do this, whatever it is, a pumpkin patch in the playground. There's so many things that they say they really, really wish they could do, but maybe they don't have the time. Maybe it just hasn't worked out. This is the time. If you're feeling like you're losing passion, if you're feeling bored, you want to reignite, you want to reinvent, try and propose that project. We proposed the podcast. It could have been a no. That was a risk we were willing to take. It was a yes, obviously. And it was so worth it, right? To go out of our comfort zone and say, we really want to do this. We have this idea. And so do the same with your administrators or your directors. Say, we have this idea. We want to do it. It's going to help me feel more passion again for this job.
Definitely communicate that and try it. And nothing, again, going back to the working out, nothing's going to be simple.
Yeah.
You do have to work on it. So
Definitely.
You do have to think of something extra. Hey, we're going to start a newsletter at work. Or if, again, something that it wasn't part of our job, but I decided, watch a few tutorials on editing and things like that. I know it's extra and it seems like we're telling you, well, work more and you'll be happy.
Right.
No, just do something that you like a little bit extra and it'll maybe, facilitate other things around. But
yeah. Okay. Our next question is from Desiree. Hi, Paloma and Loni. This is my first year teaching, and already it has been the hardest job I have ever done. Does it get any easier? I am not sure if this is the right fit for me if it is already this stressful.
That's that's a tough one because we were just saying burnout most of the time leads for quitting, whether it's working out, an activity, your job, whatever it is. So that's sad. But Desiree, there's strategies. There's things you can do. Like some of the stuff is, the things that we said earlier. Your first year, oh my gosh, the possibilities.
And it really is the hardest.
Yes. And, you were a teacher, Loni, so
Yeah.
I will let you speak on your experience.
They say the first 3 years are so hard for new educators that's usually the time that they will leave the profession. So if you make it your first 3 years, most likely you're going to stay. And so I do think that I feel like, especially that first year, I remember my first year, it was extremely hard. I was young, fresh out of college. I was still in college. And I just felt, oh my gosh, I don't know. I've wanted to be a teacher since I was a kid.
Oh.
So since 5th grade. So I was that kid that was like making my friends do homework because I was teacher.
Oh my God.
And yeah, I took it a little too seriously. where if they actually didn't do the homework, I'd get mad.
Oh
And they
my
were like,
gosh.
this is pretend, Loni. And I was like, no, I'm really the teacher. So I've always wanted to be a teacher. And then obviously it happened. And that first year I had a lot of challenging behaviors. And I was just a TA. I was learning, had a lot of room to grow. And just the amount of children that had challenging behaviors was really rough on me. And I would go to the bathroom and I would cry. And I would call my dad, who's like my person, and I'd be like, Dad, I don't know if I want to be a teacher anymore. I think I made a mistake, right? And he would walk me through it, and I would just take those minutes whenever I needed to go to the bathroom, whether it was to take a deep breath, to call him, to cry, whatever it was. And I just kept pushing forward. And I will say, there was never another year that hard, ever. I don't know if it's just like luck or what, but it was just, maybe I'm gaining confidence, I'm gaining experience, I'm gaining support, ideas, I'm finding my footing. That's kind of like our slogan of the day, finding your footing,
Yeah,
reinventing yourself.
reinvent yourself.
And I feel like I did that, and it got easier and easier. Of course there was hard years. Of course there were hard moments, challenging behaviors, things like that, but never anything like that first year. And so what I would recommend to Desiree, thank you for, reaching out to us, because that's really what drives our podcast. But what I would say is, yes, it gets easier, but also no, it doesn't get easier, because it's a job and it's going to be hard. You're going to have different kids every year. But I really like the idea of learning about your hot buttons, being really self-aware of what triggers you, what stresses you out, what makes you mad, what makes you frustrated. And then also learning who your teaching partner is, your TA, your co-lead, whoever that is, what theirs are as well. So that way you guys can be there for each other. Like in the wrestling ring, like tap out, switch up. Hey, for me, I really don't like being physically hit. Hey, I've never liked that. It gets me flustered, right? Maybe someone else might say, I don't like loud noise. As it gets louder and louder and louder, and kids are screaming and there's music and it's just getting loud, I start to feel, overwhelmed. And so then it's like, okay, if my TA is with me and knows that I don't like being hit and sees a kid, I'm trying to support them and they keep hitting me or headbutting me or scratching me, right? They're like, oh, it's time to tap in for Loni, because that doesn't trigger me. Oh, it looks like the kids are starting to get really loud levels, and I can see my TA in the corner starting to feel overwhelmed. Maybe she's, not reacting to the kids as she normally would. She seems a little short, a little more agitated. Time for me to tap in and be like, hey, I got you. And what does it look like to tap in? It could be switch. Let me deal with that child instead of you. It could be, hey, go get some water, go take a walk, go get some air. Let's take your 15 minutes early, take your lunch break early. I got this, whatever it is, right? Or even just a simple like, hey, I notice it's getting really loud in here. I know that's like one of your hot buttons. How can I help you? So I think when you do that for each other, when you're a strong team like that and you're really self-aware of what gets you bothered, you're less likely to have burnout, because you're going to be able to prevent those feelings. Oh, I'm getting hit right away. Don't even want to do it. Paloma, please switch me, like immediately. I'm not even going to let myself get there.
Right. Which being proactive rather than reactive helps out a lot. Yes. And again, going back to that healthy village, right? You need your partner, you need a team that's going to help you. So it is important that you have that communication, and that I want my teacher and I to be in sync. And it sounded to me how you were describing it as, that's probably why planning is so important. It like a football game. Like, this is how we're gonna tackle it. You're gonna do this. But if they do this, I'm gonna step over here, and I literally imagine the football field with the X's, and not that I would know how to do that, but I was trying to follow you. Like, okay, so then we're gonna tap, we're gonna switch. So it's super important to have that communication, and really also really important for your own personal growth is to start establishing those personal boundaries, right? Yes. Because there's sometimes things that we can't tell you, oh, well, if that's your boundary, just walk out, or tell, the director, but if you start establishing those personal boundaries and what to you, hey, once this hits, I'm done, or I can't continue, or I need, air or I need water, whatever it is. But if you start learning those, establishing those boundaries, you start being more self aware. You start learning where your hot buttons, is that what you call
Yeah,
it? The
hot
hot
buttons.
buttons, are. So that will also help, and you in the future just planning better. And hopefully, like you said, it also, I think you said about the first year being the hardest. Almost in every business,
Yeah.
the first year is going to be really, really tough. And you might not see any progress in a way. But if you
Imposter
use
syndrome.
that, yes, and you use that to, okay, I'm gonna, I heard something really cool this weekend too, that there's in life there's L's and W's, right?
Mhm.
But when you can't take the W, you take the lesson. Like, oh, I
Nice.
love
I
that.
love that.
Yeah. So you didn't get the W that year. Take your lesson and let's plan for next year.
Yeah.
And let's see how we can
Even
make
day
it.
to day.
Mhm.
Day to day, you're gonna feel that, right? There's a lesson every day or a win every day. That's why we have reflections in our lesson plans. Like, it's so important to really take the time to reflect and try and learn from those reflections, because every day is a little bit different. Every month, every group of kids, every teaching team, every center, all these different dynamics. And what I want to also add is that within authenticity, so when you are honest with your students, with yourself, and with your team, you are going to be able to maybe combat some of that fatigue, that stress. Because let's say you're sick, right? Oh my goodness, I feel horrible. I still have to be at work today. I have to deal with a bunch of kids. They're super hyper. They're excited because we are, supposed to make Play-Doh today. And oh my gosh, I feel horrible. There's nothing wrong with saying to your students, Miss Loni is really sick today. I'm just not feeling 100%. So I'm sorry that I haven't been able to give you 100% today. I'm not there. And like, being authentic with them, being honest with them, most of the time, if you're building that relationship with your kids, they're going to hear that and they're going to be like, okay. I've had many times where like I've lost my voice and been like, I can't talk that loud to you guys. I'm not where you need me to be. And then they've really listened and been like, okay, like, she's not where she's usually at. And so for some, you might think, oh, that the kids aren't going to care, but they do.
Mhm.
They really care about you.
And they pick up on that
They
energy.
pick up on that energy. And if you're just honest and say, I'm just not, today's not my day, or, I'm what you're, making me feel frustrated, or I'm not feeling good, or I didn't sleep at all last night. Just like when they say, you know what, I don't feel good. I don't want to do that activity. I didn't sleep tonight or last night. I just don't have the energy to do circle time. Like, if we're authentic with each other, as well as our teaching team, hey, Paloma, I'm sorry that I'm not coming to this podcast at 100. Like, last night really sucked for me. I didn't sleep. Like, if we can have those kinds of conversations, then we are understanding each other, those boundaries, and then we're not being asked to be pushed to our limit.
Right.
The kids aren't going to push you past your limit because you've just shared with them how you're feeling. Right. And that might help, prevent you from getting to that edge that you don't want to get to.
100%. And just how when teachers are teaching children to wait their turn, or hey, you made so and so feel sad because is there anything you want to say? Yeah. And they're having that interaction, right? Like, oh, I'm feeling sorry for my friend because I hit them accidentally, blah blah blah. You're part of that group too, so they also will understand and like pick up, like we said, on your energy of, hey, I'm doing this. And maybe that's a moment to be creative of modifying your lesson plan of, yes, what do we do when we feel this way. Boom, you're talking right there about emotions, social emotional development. So that's what we always tell teachers. If you can defend your practice, there's nothing, you're not doing anything wrong. And as long as, again, you modified it, because that day it wasn't little Timmy that had a challenge in behavior, or little Susie, that it was you that needed that modification.
And that's raw and real.
Mm-hmm.
Being flexible.
Exactly.
Being flexible as a teacher is definitely a strategy to prevent burnout. Right. Because if you're so rigid and everything has to be this way, everything has to go this way, then you're going to get let down quite a lot. Mm-hmm. And the more you're let down or disappointed, the more likely it is that you're going to lose passion for what you're doing. But if you keep things open-minded and you have, wishful thinking, you have hope for things, you're, okay to be flexible, things can go this way or not, then you're already kind of preventing that ability to be stressed, to be angry.
100%. And it matters also. It might sound cliche or corny of being positive, and you might think, what's that going to do? But believe me, if just start try, to, and this is something that I am going to start doing
And New
instead
Year's
of
resolution.
I try to stay away from them because
know,
then
me
you
too.
feel bad when you
Yeah.
don't. I maybe just put it into the vision board and see if in 2025 we could do it. But more of if you say, oh, I can't wait for the weekend, oh, it's Monday,
Right.
but if you wake up, okay, it's Monday, what am I going to learn today? Is one thing, a new thing
it's
that
Monday.
it's Monday,
New start.
Yes, it does matter, that positivity.
Yeah.
Because I wake up and say, oh, I really like the weekend, I can't wait for the weekend again. I'm just going to be thinking about that. And yes, it might be true, but if you have to lie to yourself a little bit to start, and say, hey, it's Monday, it's going to be good. My wife and I have a thing where, like, hey, you're going to crush this day, we're going to crush this week, and then we're going to have a good time on the weekend. So, okay, we're thinking of the weekend, but we're thinking of how we're going to, make sure that this week goes smooth, and that, if you don't have 100% that week, that's okay. Do what you can do. But again, that's the importance of having that team, that group, communication, and self-awareness, and also just being positive and being, you don't have to deny it. I remember when I first started going to the classrooms and I had read Powerful Interactions, just leave your static out, and it's easier said than done, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So it's more of okay, what do we do so that our static doesn't bother us as much? So just little by little. But yeah, well, I hope that we answer those two questions.
Yeah, hopefully. And like you said at the beginning of the podcast, like, this kind of conversation, it's not going to be like the ones where we had like redirection with Jessica, right? Where she's like, yeah, this is what you should do. But even in that, she was like, it's not always going to work. It's not this perfect, present wrapped in a bow. And that's what burnout is. It's a conversation. We're acknowledging that as educators, we have felt burnout in this field, in our day-to-day jobs. And it's okay. We're here with you. We understand. We validate your feelings. Here's a couple things you can try. And we kind of take it from there. And obviously, I've had conversations with my programs. I'm sure, have had conversations with your programs about burnout. Sometimes it reoccurs every year with the same educators, and that's okay too. It's just something that we have to work for, right. work on, strive for. And it's not always going to be perfect. It's not always going to have a solution instantaneously, but I think we've scratched the surface, and burnout sometimes is very individual. And so obviously these things that we're talking about aren't individualized, but if educators need help and this isn't enough, that's when I say, reach out to somebody. Like you said, it takes that village. Reach out to your consultant, reach out to your admin, lean on your friends, lean on your dad. Like, I would call my dad and be like, I need you. Like, this is hard. This is stressful. And so utilize your village on top of everything that we also talked about today.
100%. One thing that I used to emphasize in the classrooms was that there's a very thin line between gossiping and venting, but it's good to vent. You need it. You need to let it out. Maybe you have that coworker that you can vent, and just make sure you stay in that line, and it doesn't become gossip, and it helps you release, some of that tension, some of that negativity or toxicity. But as we said, we're not going to answer every question. It's not specific, but there are a lot of podcasts, YouTube shows, a lot of books that are specific about burnout. When I was looking through things about this topic, there's burnout for doctors, there's burnout for, there's, and I found burnout for teachers, which is
we've done a new newsletter topic on it. So
you did.
Also, our viewers can, our listeners and our viewers can go to the archives of our newsletter and look at the burnout issue that we did.
I want to say it was at the beginning of 2024, wasn't it?
I think it was a little further back than that.
Oh,
I think
okay.
it was when I was pregnant, so it was like 2023.
Oh, so maybe because I feel like it was at the beginning when I joined the newsletter, so maybe at the beginning of 2023. But yeah, just look in the archives, and we do have
Yeah.
good stuff in there that also has information that you can get at the toy lending libraries for kiddos if you want, looking for some of this material, some of the material that can help you in other areas, in the
Yes.
classroom. But there are resources out there.
Yeah, and also, I mean, we all know too, stress relief, go work out. Working out is a huge, well known tool for stress relief. Reading a book, escapism, right? Listen to your favorite song, your music, right? We have a colleague, Luisa, who is going to be a future guest, who always is talking about use of music and ways to use that to de-stress, to recenter yourself, mindfulness, right? Like sometimes it's to go and do a workout, a run, a walk if you're not gonna try and do something crazy, right? Some yoga, like all of those things are more generalized, but they do still work.
Yep, and it's inclusive, right? Because it's like you say, workout. You work out a lot. I haven't worked out for over 5 years. Not at all. So I mean, a little yoga here and there. But if you feel like, oh well, what does she know about my life? Okay, like you said, then there's the option of books. There's
Right.
the option of music. There's the
Yeah.
option. There's something that
Dancing.
can dancing.
Lots of
Oh
things.
man, you don't know how many times I've danced in my
Yeah.
living room alone. Just it makes me feel good. And
Yes.
you release stress. You feel good. It's a workout.
It is.
So-
Even a change in routine, like you were just saying, you went to that glass blowing class with your
Yeah.
wife, and so it's like that's not something you do on a day-to-day basis. It's something new. It's a change in routine. It's extra fun, something exciting. And so it's just like a little switch of something like, oh, we normally go to this restaurant. Well, let's go to a new restaurant. Or, normally I do this for our birthday. We always do this, but let's switch things up. Switch up your routine, switch up something to kind of get yourself something to be excited about.
I love that. I love switching your routine because, yeah, that's, I would have never in my life taken a glass blowing class. And it was so much fun. It's
And
different.
now you said you want to do
And
it again.
I want to do it again. And it gives you perspective
Yeah.
of other people's lives. It's, that's crazy. I wonder, the teacher was an amazing teacher. And again, going to those teachers, going back to teaching, such an
Yes.
important job. I was joking around with you, was partly joke, not joke, last week about the job being as intense and important as that of a surgeon. And we said, and I've always said, we don't get paid the same.
No, no.
But it's a job that is so important because if you lose a little kiddo in the classroom, that could potentially be, detrimental to his school life, his or her school
The
career.
relationships you build.
Yes, and the self-esteem and all that. But having a good teacher, it just, again, I want to do more glass blowing because the teaching was amazing. It was clear. It was encouraging, which is, I don't know anything. I'm not gonna know anything, but it was encouraging. It was do it this way. If you don't do it this way, do that. And they, amazing. But a good teacher, it's another topic that we shall have in the future,
Yes,
but
the
teachers
impact of
are
teachers.
amazing.
Foreshadowing.
Yes, we're projecting. We're projecting.
No, I agree. I think that overall, today we talked about stress relief and mindfulness, regaining passion, reinventing yourself, reigniting the fire by just trying something new and or doing something that you've been wanting to do. I'd say that's what our takeaways are. Go out there and remain positive as best as you can. Be authentic and honest with yourself and each other. Go do something that you've been itching to do for a long time and or try something new. Switch it up. Those 4 things. And who knows, maybe this time next year, you won't be feeling that, winter fatigue, that winter depression as much. You might be, sad to say goodbye to those students for the week that you have off or whatever it is and can't wait to get back and start a new year fresh. You might be saying 12 years, I'm going to come back in 24 years and see how I feel. That first year, hopefully, Desiree, you stay in the field. We don't want to lose any more teachers. That's so, so important. Early childhood needs to keep our teachers. So just remember, Desiree, that this year may be really hard, but you're killing it. You're doing it every single day. You're showing up. That's the hardest part. You are going to grow and become more confident and excel. And eventually you're going to think, that first year, it was nothing.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember that feeling?
Exactly. Just like I did.
And own it. And
own it.
and say,
Exactly.
hey, that feeling that I had, it was difficult. It was so tough, but I did it.
Exactly. And so on top of these resources that we talked about today, these strategies, please, please, please come to the Toy Lending Library in your area. Check out these books and these Slumberkin stuffies. Please check out anything else that we might have that, has to do with mindfulness and stress relief. Look at our newsletter archives so you can check out that burnout letter. We have podcasts on that newsletter that we posted, printouts, affirmations, all types of things. Obviously, check out our training calendar and see if there's something up there that maybe would ignite your passion again because of a topic that you're really interested in, want to learn more about.
100%. I think you summarized it perfectly. And just emphasizing on one of the things you said about authenticity. Remember, everybody's different. So what works for Loni might not work for me. What might work for us might not work for you. Just try it out. Try it out and see. But yeah, we're all different. So we can just, again, I think that's one of the most important ones, being authentic and aware of your needs.
And you never know, you might have a wish like we did with this podcast, and it is no longer a wish, it's a reality. So you never know what someone might say yes to, what might happen if you take a chance, if you take a leap. And so I hope that this podcast episode was a special one for all of you guys and that you have a wonderful holiday season. And hopefully we won't be hearing about any burnout anytime soon.
And hopefully we'll be back next year.
And,
yes. We can continue to bring out these topics, and anything that you guys might be interested in that we talk about, we can tackle that. Send in your questions. Very important.
Please send in your questions.
The email here. Send in your questions. And I think that's it.
Yeah. We have one more episode left in the season. 7 episodes in this season, so please look out for that season finale. It's going to be a really good one with a really amazing guest.
Yeah,
and
it's a surprise. Don't let.
I won't.
But we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Adios. Season 1, episode 5.
6.
Just kidding.